everyone. Welcome back to NEPA Story. I'm Kylie Montigney, and today we are joined by Jay Luke. He's a local artist, musician, and author. As a musician, he has recently topped 400,000 streams of his original music. As an artist, he has done hundreds of portraits for clients all over the globe. And as an author, he has written and illustrated two books. Welcome to the podcast, Jay. I'm super excited to have you on.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
So, to get into a little more depth about your life as a musician, like tell us kind of how you got started as a musician and how it got you started as a musician.
Well, I'm when I was growing up, the channel MTV was just starting out, so I'm a bit older, and I just remember being hypnotized by all these bands and stuff because it was just very entertaining at the time, and I always joke that my parents could have left me in front of the TV and went on a vacation for 3 weeks or something, and I wouldn't have noticed. I was very, spellbound by it all. And I
Mhm.
was kind of like taking everything in like a sponge. But sometime early on, I would probably think like third or fourth grade, I took a guitar lesson or something. And I was very discouraged to find out that they wanted to like teach me how to play Happy Birthday when I was like really into rock and roll and I wanted to learn something like instantly.
Yeah.
And when that didn't happen, I kind of gave it, I put it on the back burner for about 10 years or so. And the itch came back into me. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get a guitar and I'm going to teach myself. And I was crazy driven to do it. And, after, playing around for quite a while in my bedroom, I found somebody else. It was very hard to find other musicians growing up. So I found somebody else who was pretty close by, and we started a band. And yeah, I really haven't looked back ever since. I've been playing for about more years than I care to admit at this point. But
Like more
um,
years that you can keep track of, basically.
yeah, I was like, I
I
think like,
know when MTV started out, it was like the world had stopped and basically everyone turned to MTV. Like it's more popular back when it first came out and started than it is right now. Of course, people
oh,
still watch it, but it was more popular when you were growing up than
a
people
hundred
nowadays
percent.
watch it. And
Yeah,
I know when I was watching, what was it like last week? I was watching the Bon Jovi documentary, the one they just came out with. As many of you probably know, I'm a big Bon Jovi girl, so I had to watch the documentary. And they were talking about like how MTV got huge and how they were kind of starting with MTV and how their music was playing. I'm thinking to myself, like, man, like why isn't MTV as big back then as it is now? Like, with Bon Jovi is one of the biggest bands in the world, and like, who doesn't like Bon Jovi's music? Like, they play all the classics, but MTV, I wish it was still as big as it was now, because nowadays, like, younger people, like, probably like don't know what MTV is. I'm like, bam,
yeah.
like, you're
Well, there's like
missing out.
the big joke is, there's like no music on music television.
I
It's
know.
mainly about teenagers being pregnant and stuff like that. It's kind of
We're
ridiculous, right?
listening to like rap music and that sort of thing. I'm like, man, I wish I was alive during those days where everything like social media wasn't a thing. People were actually like those cell phones or social media. I'm like, man, my parents had me at a different generation because I basically am living in the 80s, 90s generation more than my
Yeah.
actual generation because everything else is all social media, that sort of thing. Which I mean, I can't be wrong when I say social media is a bad thing and good thing. It can be both.
Yeah.
But sometimes I wish why we have to live in a social media generation.
Yes, it's very difficult to try to balance it all.
I know. Like as an artist, you have created hundreds of portraits for clients worldwide. Like where'd you kind of find like the inspiration for your artwork for these clients?
Well, I've been, drawing since I could remember. It's kind of like, basically music and art have been my passion. And I just, I think with anything, you kind of, the more you do it, you find out you could get very good at it, if you don't give up. And I really got into like my style of art and also music is like I really like real things and I like things to look like they're real. And so I got into like doing portraits of people and pets and stuff like that. And I, I guess word got around pretty much that, I was doing pretty good with these portraits and, people all the time are asking me to do them. And for the longest time, I was probably doing about like, I'd say close to 50 a year.
Oh gosh.
And now that I'm playing music so much, it's like it's kind of taking a back seat these days because music has been taking up a lot of my time. But yeah, I still love to do it when I can. Things are just it's always like a juggling act, trying to get everything done.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I do love doing art. It's very therapeutic and relaxing.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Like, how many gigs do you play like a week or a month? Like, because I know every time I see something on social media, it seems like you are playing like all the time.
I'm I would say at least one a week, if not
Mm.
sometimes three, four, could be, and sometimes they're all in a row. So I can't give an exact number, but I'd say definitely over 100 gigs a year.
Oh
Um,
gosh, I
it just feels
can't.
like I'm
Like,
on a
I
feels like
could not last doing 100 gigs a year, let alone like five at least a week. I couldn't handle that for some reason. Like, I could barely handle at least 5 interviews a week or working 3 times a week, like a long hours, let alone doing 5 gigs at least a week.
yeah, it takes a special kind of person. I feel like I work full time and then some of the times you just go right from work to a gig that might be an hour away and then you drive back home and it's like 3 in the morning before you even get to closure or think of sleeping.
I
So
know.
it's takes a special kind of person who I'm a total insomniac. So
I know. Like,
um,
it's like you have to be in a good mindset to actually go from a full-time job to a gig, maybe an hour away, doing it for probably 3 hours or so,
yeah,
depending on a
mhm.
location, and coming home, going to bed whenever you get home from a gig, then
And
waking
then
up maybe
going right
4
back
hours
to
later
work.
to work your full-time job. I'm just like, I can't. Like, as
The
much as I love something, I could not last running on 4 hours of sleep, man. Like, it takes a lot out of someone.
I think it's funny too when in that case, or I'm so used to it at this point, but I'll like you said, go through that cycle of 4 hours sleep if I'm lucky, and I'll go to work the next day and talk to one of my coworkers, and they'll be like, "I am so tired. I went to sleep at 10 o'clock last night." And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, I wasn't even in the same. I was barely in the same state at 10 o'clock last
I
night.
know,
Never
like,
mind."
sometimes I'm just busy working or doing other things at, like, 10 o'clock at night and knowing I have to be up for, let's just say, work at, like, 5:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
and basically my mind's always in a different mood at, like, 10:30 at night, like, depending like, 'cause I'm, like, a night owl, so it's like, some days I'm literally, like, tired and just wanna go to bed and just living in my own world, or I'm up until 2 o'clock in the morning, do whatever I need to do, watching TV, doing work to the point where I'm just like, every day is like a new person, like, a different
Right.
night owl, like, every energized, and I'm just like, whenever I don't have like my other job that I do, it's like when I don't work, I'm like a totally different person and doing other things. I know you probably can relate. Like, it's just you
Oh
just have
yeah.
a little different taste of energy.
Yeah, there's a certain magic, the weird hours of the night where you just, you're not really bothered by anybody and you can kind of get a lot done and your mind's a bit quieter sometimes.
I know. Like, how do you like choose like the clients you work with for your portraits? I know you mostly like kind of lay back on your music more than portraits nowadays, but how do you kind of choose your clients to work with?
Um, well, sometimes someone will approach me and say, like, can you do a picture of my grandfather who passed away? And uh, more times than not, I end up saying yes because, I have this weird mindset where I always want to, keep working, but then they might give me a picture of, you know, whoever the person is, and it's like a faded image where you can't even see a face. And it's like, well, I'm not a magician. I can't, I don't even know what this person looks like, so I can't create what this person looks like. So, number one, it has to be an image of someone who I could make out features at least, and see like even like what gender is this person, what, how old are they, what color hair do they have, and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, like a clear image is usually the biggest thing. How fast they need it is another factor. Certain things like that. And then, certain people just like, they just break your heart with a story like, my pet died and they're crying and stuff, so that kind of stuff factors into.
Yeah.
But number one, yeah, the biggest thing is I need to know what the person or the subject matter looks like to be able to do a faithful rendition of it.
Yeah, true. Like I feel like nowadays people like when they want an artist to create something for you, most of the time they can't even give an exact portrait. It's
um,
always like their face or what they're wearing, but they don't have like they don't really show their hair color. It's probably this faded out or one of those like gray old time pictures from like in 90s, 80s. It's
yeah.
probably one of those pictures, but like it's probably all faded out and it drives me absolutely nuts. I'm sure it's for you as well because like you don't have a clear picture. Like basically you just have their face and what they're wearing picked out, but they don't have
Yeah,
the exact facts, which would
yeah.
drive me like insane as an artist would not getting a clear picture.
Well, it's funny too, like I mean, like in your head you're just thinking like, well, this person can't logically think I know what this person looks like from this
I know,
photo.
like you don't
That's
have a clear
blurry. And
actual picture. Like you have to, like they think you probably have to use some sort of imagination to actually make this picture and what
yeah,
it
I
looks
mean,
like.
like when you have no idea what the person looks like, it's just an impossible task, and I won't take that one on
Oh
because
yeah. It's
because
honestly
you
pointless
could
to
just,
even waste your time on something that you have to picture what this person looks like. I
yeah.
mean, it has to make one like person that like has maybe a lot of time on their hands and has probably a good imagination to actually do that sort of thing. Because I personally cannot do that.
No, I don't know anyone who can actually. I mean, that's the one thing that holds me back from doing art. But beyond that, though, you know, get a good picture, or sometimes even a live picture. Have somebody sit down. That's cool too. But um, yeah, I do. That's the kind of thing I like to do. Portraits and real life, still life things.
Mm. So to go back into your music, I know we were talking about this before we were kind of recording a little about it, but what are some like themes or messages you explore in your music or even live music when you're covering?
Um, well, with me, like I said, just like with art, I'm really into real things. Like, there's a lot of bands I like that, might sing about like fantasy stuff. And for me, when I'm writing music, it has to be something I've experienced, something I'm going through, or, maybe something I witnessed and try to put into words and stuff like that. So, yeah, I believe that if it's not kind of from your heart, it's not genuine for me anyways. A lot of people could write about anything. They could write about swing set or something like that,
Mhm.
but for me it has to be about like kind of real time things. And like the last album I just did was called Me and My Demons, and it was exactly about what we were talking about, like how my particular life was wake up early, go to work all day, go right to a show. Then by the time you get home, you have no time to sleep, and you're kind of a
Yeah.
zombie. And I felt like between the hours of like 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, that's just like I'm sitting with my demons.
Are they just
So,
sitting there thinking about debating whether you should go to sleep or not, or you
or
should just
just
lay
yeah,
on that
yeah,
3 hours of sleep?
yeah, exactly. So that kind of like spearheaded the album I did. And and it's funny when you write all these things and stuff, it's kind of like another form of therapy as well. It kind of gets all of this stuff out of your head. And which is pretty cool. So I feel like I'm never gonna have writer's block. I'm always like writing about what I'm experiencing.
Like an everyday ritual, like you just never get that bored from what you write. Because I know when people write after maybe writing an album or something, they really go on like a writer's junk where they can't think of anything. Like there's some people
Mhm.
like that, or just even after writing a solid 15-song album or an EP, they can still
Mhm.
write because I'm like, man, I can barely write an interview script for maybe 3 interviews a day, let alone 15-word album, maybe working on like 5 months. And a few weeks after writing an album, you can still write, which I can't do. But like anyone can come out with creativity and still release a so and so album. Anything, it depends on a person and how a writing, like how good and solid music you can write after releasing an album. Like you have to at
Yeah.
least get that great of like creativity to make that much music.
Yeah. Something that's ironic is like, I always, you were speaking earlier about like wishing you were of a different generation or something like that. But like for me, I kind of grew up between generations. So I got to see musicians make tons of money and buy all these cars and have these extravagant lives and stuff like that. And now that I'm like writing my own music and putting out my own music and stuff like that, it's so hard to make money from it. Like you spend all this money in the studio and
Hmm.
um, just put all your time and your effort and stuff into it. And ultimately, you're kind of giving it away for free with the streaming platforms and stuff like that. And I'm extremely grateful that I had so many streams. I do get royalties and stuff, but a lot of my peers and friends that are struggling very hard. And I mean, even the royalties that I get, I'm not able to buy a car or a house from,
Yeah.
but I could pay a bill here and there, and it's really nice to be able to do that with your own music and your own
Yeah.
creations.
Yeah.
But it's getting harder and harder, and also like another demon in my creative life is AI,
Oh
where
yeah.
I'm a graphic designer and a musician, and both of those things are, they're kind of getting a good fight there with the AI that my original things are. It's like I'll tell a younger person like, hey, I write songs, and they're like, oh, me too. Write a song for me to their phone, and I'm like,
Like,
oh
just
my
have
god.
someone like a little bot write their own music
Yeah, and I'm
while
thinking
you
like, oh
just
my god, I put my heart and soul into what I do. Kids, you don't know what you're doing, and
I
it's
know, like, honestly, I would rather write my own music than have a bot write it in under
oh,
5 minutes. I cannot do
there's
that.
no soul in it. It's
Like,
so
there's nothing.
soulless.
Like, you put no work into it. You just had to write down like a sentence or whatever you want the song to be about.
Yeah.
No work, dedication. Just had the bot write it under 5 minutes. And having a singer-songwriter musician write like an album that would take months. Like just
Yeah.
nothing. It's literally like no work, no dedication, just straight out
Yeah.
write
It's like I say often that if I didn't love music and what I do so much, I would never do it because, like, oh my God, you're up against literally every obstacle in the world. It's the financial aspect, the AI thing, and it's even like playing shows. It's not always easy to get them. I've been really fortunate with getting out there so often and playing so much that like I keep it going and the momentum and whatnot. But I see so many people struggle and so many people are so discouraged by
it.
having to face all these things and getting very little reward for it. So
Yeah.
it's not for everybody.
Yeah, it definitely can be that way. It's just a matter of finding like your purpose and making people want to listen to your music. I know like with a bunch of musicians that are big right now, they probably wrote music and released music for years and
Oh
like didn't get big until like maybe 15 years after they started. It can definitely be that way. And some
sure.
artists that are big now sometimes get lucky and just started writing songs and got big by that one song after writing for maybe a year. So you just have to
Yeah.
be very lucky, like to get that many streams and early on in their
Sure.
career. Sometimes it could take so long to get that many streams. Even if you've been doing it for, how many years, it honestly can take forever.
Yeah, it's kind of like hitting the lottery sometimes, but the main thing is that well, personally I feel, I just keep going and keep releasing stuff because it might be 20 years later where so maybe some random television show picks up a song and it might be yours. And there's a girl named Kate Bush who had a song. It was from the 70s or something like that, and the TV show Stranger Things picked it up,
Yeah,
and it became the biggest song in the world. And it was like 20, 30 years later, and you just never know where it's going to go. So
I know.
that was
Yeah.
kind of a really hopeful, positive inspiration for a lot of us musicians, I think, when she hit big with that.
I know, like there's like example, like right now, like it was like when did it come viral? Like maybe a year or two ago, it became viral for Walker Hayes. He's like a now country singer that just came
Mhm.
up and coming like 2 years ago. Like he was writing music for about like maybe between probably 5 to 10 years, my guess. He's someone that I absolutely love and seen concert multiple times. He's really good, but he basically had like a one-hit wonder by TikTok. If many
Yeah,
like basically with him writing a TikTok, his song would have gone viral if he didn't make a TikTok dance with his daughter. Like
yeah, yeah,
with having TikTok, like TikTok didn't even become big until like when the pandemic became a thing, like in 2020.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like a lot of people got him their starts just because of TikTok, and that is a example. If it wasn't for TikTok, or even for Stranger Things to pick up a song, not a lot of
mm,
people would be famous right now if it wasn't for
yeah,
that one-hit wonder or a TikTok or a TV show picking it up. Because, with the new Deadpool Wolverine movie, a lot of songs are going viral right now is because of that one movie. Like it can be
sure,
literally anything that can become viral
yeah.
from certain things.
Yeah, and the best thing you could do is just keep putting it out there, and eventually, you never know where it's going to end up, but we all hope it goes somewhere.
I know.
And little by little, though, I find that the more I'm releasing stuff, what's really cool nowadays versus a long time ago is when you put something out now, you could kind of get like statistics on where people are
Yeah.
listening, and it's cool. There's I'm grateful for anybody who listens, but like my fan base is largely overseas,
Mm.
and it's just so cool. I mean, you release something, it's instantly all over the world, and it's just that's the cool part of the social media and internet world, I guess, versus everybody in record labels and stuff controlling your music. So take the good with the bad, I guess.
Yeah, true. But to wrap up this episode, like how can people like connect with you and your music?
As far as I know, my music is on every platform. So you just write my name in, J Luke, and you got Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. Overseas, there's Deezer, Tidal. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of them, but yeah, whatever your favorite platform is, you can find me there, and on social media. Pretty easy to find. Just Google me up, and you can find me anywhere.
Awesome. So I would put all that stuff in the description for people who are interested. But I really appreciate everyone listening. It's literally been a hot minute since a musician came on here, which is awesome. I know me and you have been in contact for like a couple of weeks, like a month or something now. So I'm happy me and you were like able to do this. I really
Yeah,
and I have definitely have to come to a gig one of these days whenever you're doing a gig in the area.
absolutely.
So I really appreciate everyone listening. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Make sure to connect with him and his music. I totally recommend in doing so. And thank you, Jay, for joining us. And I really had such a blast talking with you and really appreciate you coming on taking the time.
You too. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you everyone for listening. I'll make sure to put everything below and I'll talk to you guys very soon. And